kept on. All right. So this is for connections, our next part of the creating your own culture project. So remember to have your volume on so that you can listen for that secret word. Okay. Let's review on the things that you have completed so far. So you have already created the name of your culture, the location, how your culture dresses. You have made a map of your culture. You've made a flag. You've created the laws of your culture, the customs, the things that they celebrate, and your currency. Now, we're going to jump into the next piece, which is actually the last part before we kind of put it all together. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is create your own alphabet and language. So, as is customary for a lot of different cultures and countries, is they have their own language or their own alphabet that they speak. And so we're going to kind of go through what does that mean for you and what you're going to do. First thing we have to do is define, right? So, what is an alphabet? It's pretty simple. An alphabet is just a set of letters or characters that make up a language, and they're usually arranged in a very specific way. They can also be symbols or signs. So we have there, an example of sign language, which is like the movement of hands or finger spelling. Then we have hieroglyphics, which are symbols that can represent either just a small portion of a word or a word completely. It doesn't just have to be something written like our English alphabet. Okay. A couple things that you're going to need to consider is when you think about languages, some languages, like, for example, the English language is read from left to right. But something like the Diwali alphabet, which is spoken in the Maldives, is that they read from right to left. I know you can think of some other languages that also read from right to left. So that's something definitely to consider when you're thinking about making your own alphabet in your own language. Something else is how is it going to be read? Like, what is your system? So I know, for example, Braille isn't something that is spoken, but it's actually touched on the edges of fingertips, and so it's usually a 6 dot system, and it depends on how things are. The little dots are risen, and then they feel them on their fingertips, and then they're read that way. So I want you to think about these things as you're coming up with your own language and your own alphabet. Okay. You also have to have a name for your alphabet. Something that I put together for you is all the different suffixes that you can add just to the end of your culture's name. So, for example, if you have the country of Italy, then they can speak Italian there. So, just by adding that IAN, you kind of create that name of the language. Then you have Ian, like Chilean or Korean. You have Is, like Portuguese, Japanese. You have Ik, like Icelandic, Greenlandic. And then you have Ish, like English, Irish, Spanish. Or E, like Iraqi, Pakistani, Hindi. Those are the different suffixes that you can use to kind of help you come up with the name of the language that you're creating. So I want you to come back to this once you're thinking about, okay, well, what do I want? So if you're, I don't know, name is something with a volcano or volcano, then you can do maybe volcani, or you can do volcanian, volcanese, volcanic, volcanish. Maybe something like that could be something that would that these suffixes can help you to come up with that name. Okay, now for your assignment. What you're going to do is create your own symbols next to our English alphabet. So that way, if the time comes, if we need to decode or something needs to be translated, we can. So you can see there are a couple of different codes. We have like the pigeon cipher, we have some hieroglyphics, and then we have just some like somebody's decoding. So each letter of our English alphabet has its own symbol of your alphabet. So if you wanted to maybe try like this hieroglyphics, every A would look like this. Every D would look like this. Every N would look like this little leg, or this O would look like a feather. So it's up to you to decide what kind of symbols you want to create. Okay. Some things to consider is what direction will your language be read in? So is it going to be read vertically, horizontally, left to right, right to left? That's something to consider. Can you write something in your language really quickly? Does that even matter for your people? So that's something I want you to think about, especially when you're creating these different symbols for your culture. Don't make them too complicated. So if you make them extremely intricate, it will be very difficult for you to write something out or just time wise. So I want you to think about something that will be pretty easy to reproduce. And this is actually what your assignment will look like once you log into that. Obviously, you're going to have what is the secret word as your first question. What is the name of your language? So it must have one of those suffixes added to the end of your name. Make sure that it's capitalized because it's the proper name. And then you do not, I mean, it's going to be very difficult to do this with Word. So you can print this out and then re upload a picture, or you can just on a piece of paper write A equals and then draw your symbol, B equals and then draw your symbol. So you can do this on any sheet of notebook paper, you can do it on computer paper, whatever it is that you have available, as long as it's very legible and I can see it. Okay? So you do not have to print this, but it might make it easier for you if you're able to. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. I know it was pretty short, pretty simple, only because I know that it's going to take you a little bit of time to come up with these different symbols and then write them down in accordance to our English alphabet. And then your secret word is smart because you guys are smart. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be available there on Teams. So just let me know if you have any questions. All right, Krypton, we'll talk to you later. Bye.